The 12 Deities, Eorzea's pantheon of gods and goddesses that seem to be universally worshipped throughout the realm. Each of the city-states has a patron deity, the game makes you pick one while creating a character, and they even play a prevalent role in saving the realm from Bahamut during the 7th Umbral Calamity. Despite their importance and prevalence, however, the game does very little to answer who or what they are, and how they play into Eorzea's mythology and culture. That's where I come in. Hello, I'm the Salt Exarch, and today we're going to be talking about the 12 Deities. The 12 Deities are, 12 separate deities that form Eorzea's creation myths and seem to be universally worshipped throughout all of Eorzea. The 12 seem to be deeply ingrained within the region of Eorzea, as studies of Allagan relics dating back to 5,000 years ago showed that the 12 had already become a part of society and subjects of worship by then. The influence of the 12 deities also forms the basis for how the modern Eorzean calendar is divided, with 6 astral and 6 umbral moons, each associated with one of the 12, as well as a 12-year cycle that forms the basis of modern Eorzean astrology. Given that the 12 have been subjects of worship in Eorzea for such a long time, there have been numerous versions of the Eorzean creation myth throughout Eorzea's history. A Charlean astrologian and theologian spent his academic career researching and studying the different forms of these myths and determining the overlaps to create something of a definitive version. Basically, in the beginning, there was nothing but the whirl, so presumably something like an infinite sea devoid of light or darkness. One day, Althic emerged from the whirl, which became the beginning of time. He also carried with him what is called weight, and since Althic is the deity in control of time and space, presumably this means gravity. With gravity, the realms of the land and sky could be differentiated, and came into existence. Next to emerge from the whirl was Nimia, who was described as a baby who could not do anything but cry. Her tears created a vast lake, and Althic, seeking companionship in the realm he had created, took Nimia under his wing, and raised her as a daughter. This is where I want to remind people that this is basically Eorzean mythology, and like real-life mythology, things get a bit weird. Despite raising her as a daughter, as Nimia grew, Althic and Nimia fell in love, and the two had 2 daughters together, Azema, the sun, and Minfina, the moon, and thus were day and night created. The next god to emerge from the whirl was Thalic, the bearer of wisdom and knowledge. He looked upon the lake Nimia left when she was a crying infant and turned it into a river to carry the water to the far corners of the realm. Azema, drawn to Thalic's wisdom, professed her love to him, and the two also had 2 daughters, Limlian, who turned Nimia's lake into the world seas, and Nofika, who was so lonely and desired companionship so much that she, and no, I'm not kidding, literally created all life in the realm. At some unmentioned point in time, the world fell dormant, but sometime after the creation of life, a new god appeared, though from where is unknown. This was Eorzea, the Wanderer, and wherever he wandered, towering mountains rose in his wake. These mountains also created great winds that brought life meant for the land and seas into the skies, thus creating the Sea of Clouds. Seeing these winds, Limlian fell in love with Eorzea, but due to his wandering nature, the two never settled down to start a family like some of the other gods. Basically at this point, the gods went around on a bit of a chaotic creation spree. Eorzea's mountains rose and fell at his whim, Thalic's rivers flowed all over the place, and Limlian's seas grew and expanded, swallowing entire continents without them even realizing it. Nimia had to put her foot down, and by foot, I literally mean a giant comet. Nimia gave this comet life and called it down to destroy all the rampant creations bringing chaos to the realm. Somehow, this worked, bringing order to the realm. I mean, presumably after the rampant destruction that would cause settled down. And that comet became Raugr, the Destroyer. For a while, all was calm, and the gods settled down and were content with the order that fell upon the realm in place of the chaos. Of course, at this point, the whirl, which had remained silent for quite some time, reawakened, and 2 more deities emerged, Byragot and his younger sister Halone. Side note, I imagine this was like one of those twin things where they were both born at the same time, but one of them was like 5 minutes earlier, so they called themselves the older twin. But then again, Althic, Thalic, and Eorzea all seem to have emerged as grown men, whereas Nimia came out as an infant, so it's quite possible that Halone just came out younger than Byragot for some reason. I don't know how it works. Seeing 2 new gods with unknown powers or motivations, and not wanting them to bring chaos back into the world, Nimia made them Wards of Raugr. I think putting 2 young, impressionable gods in the care of someone literally called the Destroyer sounds like a bit of a questionable choice to protect the order of the realm, but maybe that's just me. Luckily, Byrogot, a builder by nature, didn't really care much for his new stepfather's affinity for destruction, and chose to spend his time learning from Thalic instead. Thalic gave Byrogot the knowledge he would use to forge the tools of building and construction. Halone was a bit more open to Raugr's teachings of destruction, but soon she also sought to spread her wings. She journeyed with Oshan on one of his travels, where her ambition turned into a lust and desire for battle. She would challenge the many creatures of the realm, honing her skills in combat and coming up with new battle techniques. Nofika, the creator of said creatures Halone was wantonly killing for sport, became angered and swore revenge. She would challenge Halone, but Halone merely ignored her, which only served to anger her further. Oshan, feeling responsible, created a fountain of magma from his mountains, and upon cooling, the magma took the form of Naudthal. Naudthal became the final deity, a god to oversee the souls of the dead and the ruler of the afterlife. Satisfied that the souls of her creations would no longer wander the void aimlessly, Nofika and Halone made a truce. With that, the 12's creation of the realm was complete, and they created the Seven Heavens, where they could retreat and rest, to watch over the realm and their creations. It was thus that they bequeathed the rule of Eorzea to mankind, and took their place in the Seven Heavens. Keep in mind that this is just a creation myth, and obviously isn't really indicative of how the realm actually came to be. Moreover, whether or not the 12 are actual gods is definitely called into question. They definitely do have real powers, as they are seen influencing the world both during the 7th Umbral Calamity, when the Archons each pray at a separate altar to give Louiswa the power to fight Bahamut and save the realm from total destruction, and also when they teleport the Warriors of Light into the future, among other instances. However, whether this was an act of actual gods, or whether they were being summoned much like primals, is definitely called into question, and certainly Gaius believes the 12 to be on par with Icons. I think there's a strong possibility, especially with what we learn later on in the game, that the 12 are merely really strong primals that have been bolstered by the abundance of ether in Eorzea and literal millennia of worship. Though, I did want to mention that whether or not the 12 are based on individuals, and other theories like the possibility that the Archons are based on the 12, are out there, but as of right now, none of them have been confirmed. Now, whether or not the 12 are actual gods, or just primals or primal-like entities, I did want to go over the 12 very briefly. I know I went over the 12 already in my video about the Archons and the 12, but I thought it would be odd to talk about the 12 in a proper lore video without at least giving them a brief overview. I'll be going over them in the order they usually appear, given their associations with the months of the Eorzean calendar, rather than the order they appear in the creation myth. So first, we start with Halone, the Fury. Her element is ice, and she's considered the goddess of war. Her symbol is 3 spears, and she's often depicted as a warrior with a bronze great shield. She's the patron of Ishgard, and is associated with the first astral moon. Next up is Minfina, the Lover. She's the keeper of the moon and the goddess of love. Her element is also ice, and her symbol is the twin moons. She's depicted as a maid carrying a round skillet, and she's associated with the first umbral moon. Next up is Thalic, the Scholar. He's the ruler of rivers and the god of knowledge, and is the patron deity of Sharlayan. His element is water, and his symbol is the scroll. He's often depicted as a scholar holding an ashen staff, or carrying an ewer of water. He's associated with the second astral moon. Next is Nimia, the Spinner. She's the watcher of celestial bodies and the goddess of fate. Her element is also water, and her symbol is the spinning wheel. She's depicted as a weaver with a white silk veil, and is associated with the second umbral moon. Next up is Limlian, the Navigator. She's the watcher of the seas and the goddess of navigation. Her element is wind, and her symbol is the wave. She's the guardian deity of Limsa Liminza, and is often depicted as a fisherwoman wielding a long harpoon. She's associated with the third astral moon. Next is Oshan, the Wanderer. He's the ruler of mountains and the god of wanderers. His element is wind, and his symbol is the walking stick. He is most often depicted as a ranger with a yew bow, and he is associated with the third umbral moon. Next is Byrogot, the Builder. He is the purveyor of architecture and industry, as well as the god of the arts. His element is lightning, and his symbol is the hand. He is often depicted as a smith with a 2-headed hammer, and is associated with the 4th astral moon. Interestingly, rather than being the patron deity of a particular place, he is the patron deity of all artisans, crafters, and builders of the realm. Next is Raugr, the Destroyer. He is the god of destruction and the patron deity of El Amigo. His element is lightning, and his symbol is a streaking meteor. He's often depicted as a magi carrying a bronze staff, and is associated with the 4th umbral moon. Next is Azema, the Warden. She's the keeper of the sun and goddess of inquiry. Her element is fire, and her symbol is the sun. She's often depicted as a noblewoman holding a golden fan, and is associated with the 5th astral moon. Like with Beirogot, rather than being the matron deity of a place, she's the matron deity of the Seekers of the Sun Makote. Next is Nald Dal, the Traders. He is the overseer of the underworld and the god of trade and commerce, as well as the patron deity of Ul'dah. His element is fire, and his symbol is the cowrie, which is an old shell currency used in ancient times. He's often depicted as a merchant holding a set of scales. Interestingly, although the creation myths don't reference it, Nald Dal is considered the single manifestation of the twins Nald and Dal. He is associated with the 5th umbral moon. Next up is Nofika, the matron. She's the tender of soils and goddess of abundance, as well as the mother of life. She's the garden deity of Gridania. Her element is earth and her symbol is the spring leaf. She's often depicted as a farmer holding a steel scythe. She is associated with the 6th astral moon. Finally, we have Althik, the keeper. He is the surveyor of change and the god of time and space. His element is earth and his symbol is the hourglass. He's often depicted as an emperor wielding a mithril great axe, and he's associated with the 6th umbral moon. With that breakdown over, I think I'm going to end the video right here. As mentioned before, up until now, the 12 haven't really played a huge role in the story so far, and their exact nature hasn't exactly been made clear yet. There really isn't much else for me to say here regarding the 12, but I do hope we get more content involving them in the future. At any rate, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As you can see, I am seriously trying to get a video out every week without compromising on the quality of my videos, and I hope I did a good job with this one. Also, friendly reminder, I do stream over on Twitch as well, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 9 PM EST. So do go check me out over there if you want more content from me and want to show me some more support. It really helps out, and it's all greatly appreciated. Once again, I hope you all enjoy the video. If you did, do be sure to give it a like, be sure to drop any questions, suggestions, or comments down below, and subscribe if you want more Final Fantasy XIV lore content from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.